Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second ever episode of the Layers&Keyframes podcast. This time, I'm Lankai and I'm joined by Kai and also joined by Rowland Olamide, aka Roj the Goat. Roj, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
I am Roj the Goods. Like you said, I'm a motion designer and art director, and I think I'm currently going through identity crisis because I'm trying out a bunch of stuff, and I keep asking myself, can I still call myself a motion designer after doing all of this? But
What's
yeah,
it?
I'm a motion designer, and I've been a motion designer since 2018. That's like I don't know how many years that is, but
It's like
that's
five,
a long
six
time. I think
years.
5, 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm excited to be here. I don't know how else to introduce myself.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So the identity crisis, what's involved in it? What things are you trying out that is making you feel like that?
I'm currently in the process of making like a feature film,
Oh,
and I've been dabbling into like filmmaking this year really heavily. So it's making me question a lot about the career path I want to choose and, you know, what to do with myself essentially. So currently working on my movie, doing a bunch of short films and music videos and just experimenting fully with experimenting outside of like just graphic design and motion design
oh, okay. What do you
at
have
the
any
moment.
you have any sneak peeks for us? Like any nice info about your movie that you're making?
Yeah, it's I don't know what to share. I don't know what I can share, but it's like it's something I don't think people would expect from me personally. I think the subject matter is something that is like really important, and it's not coming out till like next year, so
Oh,
not too much to share right now. We finished filming and we're currently in post production.
oh, okay, that's nice. So, okay. Then let's go back to like the start of your career. Would you mind telling us a little bit about how you started your career as a creative from graphics to motion to filmmaking and the stuff you're doing right now?
Yeah, my career started out in 2015, 2016. I actually started out, at the time it's not when I was like 13, 14. I started out at a print shop close to where I was staying at the time. And my mom took me to do like an apprenticeship program at a print shop close to my house. And it was a very interesting thing for me. And that was like my first introduction to graphic design. And then, like I think I stopped for a year. I think it was 2014. I was at the print shop. 2015, I didn't really do much with it at all. Then 2016, I found it again. And that's when the career really, really, really started. And I started out with illustration and then, you know, started doing graphic design, did graphic design for a while till like 2018. I made the choice to switch completely to motion design because, at that point in time, I feel like I keep going through identity crisis because I feel like I was going through something similar where I was like, okay, I think I need to make a switch. And then I did something dramatic, which was decide, okay, I'm going to do motion. And it was like a very pivotal moment in my career making that choice. And yeah, 2018, make that choice, fired off my graphic design clients dramatically,
Hey,
and then just dived into motion and focused on it. I started an agency in 2018. That was like my way of jumping into motion. It was called Hierarchy.
what
It's like
does
the
it
word
mean?
hierarchy, but like spelt it was Japanese. It was like I was trying to. It was like the word hierarchy, like order of things, and spelt like it was Japanese. So it was Hyraki. I think I was trying to be cool, which was a terrible name. Now that I think about it, because it confused a lot of people. And I stopped hierarchy in 2021. I think it didn't really go too far, but as soon as I stopped hierarchy, I think I started really experiencing real career growth, if I do say so. But hierarchy was a very good experience for me. It was very interesting, like running an agency. It was just me and a couple of friends at that time, but it really allowed me, explore having like some level of clients and explore learning to be like a leader. and explore learning to manage people. And yeah, around 2020, I also started like this channel, Rush the Good, and that also like really propelled my growth in my career. I got to meet a lot of other motion designers around the world, and yeah, I think 2020 was also very pivotal for me. Starting Rush the Good really changed a lot for me. Really helped me meet people, helped me, learn a lot because I feel like I learned so much from. I became a better motion designer after doing Watch the Good because I was interacting with the best motion designers in the world and talking to them and sharing my work with them and getting feedback from them. And I think that's one of the biggest, driver of my growth as a motion designer. And yeah, I'm here. I'm in a very confused state of what to do in my career because I'm feeling that push again. But
No.
yeah, this is me. This is how my career started, and this is where I am now. And yeah, do you have any other questions for me?
I would ask, what do you think your biggest achievements in design or motion design? What's your biggest flex that you can tell someone the first time you meet someone?
I feel like I've not gotten that biggest flex yet. Like there are projects that I want to do, or I feel like this is why I'm a bit confused with the decision the decision to maybe like switch or like this is why I'm having this identity crisis in many ways is because I don't feel like I'm done yet in like motion design. I don't feel like I've achieved where I like what I could do. I don't think I've reached the full potential. So it feels like, you know, I don't feel like I've got to the biggest achievement yet. But there's some highlights that I think are really impressive things, if I'm being honest. Like I've done some cool projects. There was one that was that is showing on Netflix currently, which is
Oh,
like the logo animation for the production company Collective, and it plays before the movie Code 8 Part 2. That's like pretty impressive for me because I watched the first part of Code 8 Part 1, and it was a movie I really, really loved. And it felt like makes me feel so happy seeing it in the Part 2, seeing my work before the Part 2 starts. And that's an highlight, that's an impressive thing that I'm pretty happy about. And another thing is the channel Rush the Goods. Even though I have not done anything with it is in a while, I feel like sorry, the channel and then the community batch. Even though I've not done anything with it in the past 2 years, I feel like it's still pretty something I'm very proud about, and it's something that when people ask me, like what have you done, or like are you like show me your work, it's something I'm always excited to show people. Okay, this is something that happened, or this is something that I did.
okay. That's nice. Going on about even
Yes.
Batch, what was the inspiration behind starting Batch? Like, where did the name come from? Like, who inspired you to do it? Those kind of stuff. Because motion design communities, speaking from personal experience, there's a lot more nowadays. So it's hard to really get as big as you got Batch to be, especially you with like the West African centric vibe of yours.
I think at the time when I started Batch, I've always wanted to start a community, like take my audience at Rush the Good. Because at that time, I used to get a lot of DMs like, yo, I want to learn motion design, or yo, I want to do this, or you mentor me, or things like that. Like I found it weird at the time, but also one thing that really helped my growth as a motion designer, or sorry, as a designer, was being in communities. There was a community I was part of, or I'm still part of, for graphic design called Ashakoteri in Nigeria, yeah, and it's just a friend, Caleb, and he started it with a bunch of other friends, and they're really cool people. And I realized that a lot of my growth as a graphic designer, this is before motion, and or when I was transitioning to motion, like really, like a lot of my growth at that time was just because of I'm having people to interact with, and I'm having people that we can, like we can just have interactions and just learn from each other and just learn a lot from. And that was like something I wanted to recreate for people that were DMing me and you know asking me to mentor them, or like asking me questions. And sometimes I did not have the time to answer everybody. I thought like, a way to a way to help is just bring everybody together. Let's exchange knowledge. Let's interact with each other. When you have a community where you can find people and interact with people, there is a chance for creating like massive career growth. And that was the idea behind Batch. And the name, I feel like I'm really good at naming. It's like one secret skill that I have.
Yeah,
Every name
definitely
I've come
with
up with in the
batch.
past 2 years. Yes. One thing every name I've come up with for any single random thing I'm doing for the last since 2022, the name has been fire. Okay, so I was the name came from a naming session I did with one of my friends, Corey Jones, and Corey is like a good friend of mine. He's much older. He's a creative director, and it's like someone that I really talk to every other week. Like we always have calls and conversation. And someone who's much more experienced than me, has been in the design space for more than 20 years, and it's someone I'm always talking to. And he was the one who actually showed me how to name companies and how to come up with good names and how to think about names.
Would you mind giving
And
us a
the
little,
name,
some tidbits of what he said?
oh yeah, the branding process is more like about the process of like coming up with a name rather is like doing the branding process backwards. Basically, the first step is defining what this brand is and defining like what you want people to think about this brand, and then searching for the name after doing that. It sounds simple as hell, but it can get really complex. But it's just
Just
creating
working
this visual of,
backwards.
yeah, just working backwards. This is what the brand is. This is what I want people to say, to think about when they hear this brand. This is because branding is not what you want something to be. Branding is what people say about that specific thing, basically. So just defining what you want people to say about that specific thing and what you want people to think when they hear the name. And the idea of batch is, when people ask me what does batch mean and why is it called batch, I just say we're the next batch of amazing motion designers, and that just solves the meaning of the name for them, because it's just that statement. When I want people to think about batch, I want them to think about, okay, this is the next batch of amazing motion designers.
Oh,
And that was like the thoughts behind batch, and that's how I think about naming anything I'm doing.
oh,
Mm.
that is very good, actually. That's not something I would
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah,
So
like
oh, I don't know if we're still talking about that.
Oh no, you can go, you
yeah,
can go.
you can go.
Oh, so what's it like being a creative in Nigeria? And let me look more, but like, who you connect with and how, when, and where. So
I think it's a very difficult question to ask, because being a creative in Nigeria means that you're going to have so many ideas and like, sorry, this is a difficult question to answer, not to ask. You're going to have
oh
so
yeah,
many
difficult
ideas.
questions are good. They're thought provoking.
Yeah.
So yeah, so take your time. I mean,
So it's like, it means like you're always going to have amazing ideas and not enough resources to do them. And it's getting to a point where the resource that I'm talking about even has nothing to do with money anymore, and just has to do with, it's just this place. Like, this place is what is disturbing my creativity. Just so many
yeah.
so many problems every time you're trying to create. And it's gotten to a really interesting point where everybody who is a creative in Nigeria ends up having to leave Nigeria to really get to their creative potential. And it's sad to say, but I'm also at that point where I'm like considering that option. But at the end of the day, creating in Nigeria is also being a creative in Nigeria is also can also be very beautiful, because if you can get past all the problems that you face, you can like create some really amazing work.
Yeah, it's the same thing with
And
Ghana, I would say, because it's like there's definitely the problem. Like Ghana and Nigeria were basically the same country. Mika, I'm
really,
also half Yoruba.
yeah,
If you did, you would. Yeah, so it's like if you can find a way to not get the negatives, like for example, the power. If you can find a way
the
that it does
power.
not interrupt your work, like there's really a lot of untapped potential. But also another problem is also that like there's not a lot of people to view the potential. Like there's not enough people who understand it enough to appreciate it fully, which is another problem, I would
The
say.
people who appreciate it are constantly leaving,
Yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something that even like making a movie was such a crazy process. Making a movie in Nigeria and like the kind of people you have to interact with, and sometimes
Well,
people don't are just coming for
not
like a paycheck.
not mean to. I don't mean to cut you off, but I actually have a good question. So, would you
Yes.
say because resources are so hard to like, I guess like have in Nigeria, like, do you think that brings like the community together though? Like people help each other out more?
That's a very interesting question. In some ways, yes. Like even with all the hardships, I've met a lot of really amazing people, and we've been able to connect over the hardships and help each other in many ways. So it definitely helps. But I find myself not missing. Maybe it's my fault in this at this point because I don't go out much. I'm always inside this room 24/7. Always, this is where I am. This is where I spend most of my life. So like maybe it's also my fault that I've not gone out to meet people. But when I do go out to meet people, there are a lot of people that you can like bond with and you can help each other. And that's a very good question, man.
No, yeah, I was just had me thinking. I was like, I feel like everyone sharing the same hardships like really does bring people together to figure stuff
Oh,
out.
I would
So
definitely say
I
that.
think
I would definitely say that. Like, it makes it more like when you see someone from the same place as you doing well. Like, if I see another Ghanaian doing really well, like I'm just more inclined to like be supportive towards them and like help them because it's rare to see, to be honest. Like, when you see, you really
yeah,
really just want to back them behind it. That's what I would definitely say.
yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, this is where like the community really comes in. It's like the communities like even the Asha Kuteri, like I was referencing a while back, the conversation. It's just a place full of people who are bonding over the hardships and helping each other grow. And a lot of the designers there right now, like all of them have like a lot of them have evolved into like working at big tech startups or like doing really amazing things, and it's just beautiful to see.
Mm. Well, I would say, what about oh, I forgot what my question was. Yeah. So what about like work opportunities, like for example in Nigeria, like what are they like? Do you think being a designer, like someone a creative, is like an actual work opportunity? Like you, for example, do you when you were having your studio, did you have another job because you could never like ever get enough money to have it as your own income, or was it just that good that you could still just live off of that one studio? And even now, like when you do your creative stuff, your movie stuff, for example, is it only that you do, or you have another job in a completely different industry where that's where majority of your money comes in, and this is more like passion to you?
The movie is definitely more like passion to me. I think motion design, as much as I'm very confused about if I want to keep doing it, it's still what pays the bills and pays for all my creative ideas. But when I was running my studio, like just points blank simple, there was no money for the first. I think Hierarchy lasted like 3 years, 2018, 2019, 2020, and then 2021. That's 4 years. The first 2 3 years, actually the first 2 years, 2018, 2019, there was no client at all. I was still much younger, so I was really surviving off of my family at the time, but like there was no clients, or should I say there was barely any clients, because I was just sorry, I was only like maybe making a couple a couple $100 every 2 months or every 3 months. Essentially, there was like not enough to actually survive. And then the real financial growth for me started when I started my YouTube, and or even 2020. I don't know, something changed in the air in 2020, and that's when like the
COVID.
clients started to come in essentially. And I think my true career growth came in terms of the financial sense, came out when I actually stopped Hierarchy. So like from 2021, I really stopped. Like I started getting more clients, started doing way more work than I normally did, and it felt
Mm.
like the company was kind of like holding back my potential in many ways, because I could not necessarily like. I mean, I could get a job, but my mind was like, okay, let me get this studio off the ground and let us make money and do something amazing. And I was trying to do what I should have done was started by getting a job, or like working for clients or like, yeah, go
A
on.
good question I have for that is, yeah, like since you're talking about that, like what do you say are the things that you learned from running your own studio back then before things started really taking off? Like, because I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure, yeah, you got some experience from that.
I think I learned to interact with people more, and I
Hmm.
learned how to get clients. And I think the way to get clients is just learning to interact with people, honestly. Is like building relationships. I really learned to build relationships and learn to go out, meet people, leverage relationships essentially, and
Yeah.
also manage people because most of the people who were working with me at Hierarchy, or most of the connections I made were much older than me. I'm going to be turning like 23 in like a couple of days, right?
Oh, okay.
And when I was running hierarchy, I was like 17,
Yeah, running a
right?
studio at
17,
17 is
18.
rough.
Yeah, exactly. Do you get? So I was like interacting with people who were like 25, 30, 40, and learning to interact with them and learning to manage them, right? And learning to work with them. And I think I had a great support system at that time that meant that I could explore ideas like that. But it gave me the opportunity to learn to interact with people, and is like how I'm able to be where I am right now, because
Yeah.
I feel like the reason why even the channel was so successful was because I was very good at meeting people and very good at you know finding all this talking to all these amazing motion designers and creating relationships with them, and that really propelled my growth. And then dropping hierarchy and then focusing fully on that really helped me grow to where I am right now, I
That's
think.
good. I mean, I guess the obvious question is, do you ever see yourself like, if you consider to stick with motion design, like, do you ever see yourself starting up another studio and kind of just using what you learned and your experience afterwards, just full sending it with like a fresh start?
Yes, I've gotten to a point where I'm actually overwhelmed with work. So
Mm,
I'm actually starting I'm not doing it in the way I'm not thinking about it in the way I thought about it when I started. So like the way I thought about it a couple of years ago when I was doing hierarchy, I'm thinking about it more differently. I'm thinking about it more like a collective or like a solo studio than
hmm.
than a Tendril or like than a Future Deluxe or some of those big studios. I'm thinking about it more like, okay, it's just me and a couple of friends, and we just like motion, and we're just experimenting. And if you're hiring me, you have the opportunity to work with. I'm thinking about it more on the smaller scale than I was thinking about it before. Then the goal is not to become a Tendril. The goal is just to have fun and enjoy the process, and that's how I'm thinking about like the business of motion. There are two ways I can go in the next couple of months. I could either get a full-time job somewhere,
Hmm.
and or I can like create the studio that I have in mind. And that's where I'm going in the next couple of months, I think.
If you create a studio, actually, do you think you would prioritize clients in Africa, or do you think you'd get clients outside of Africa? Because from all the different like African artists that I've talked to, there's always a split opinion. Me personally, I'm on the side where I don't really like work, like I prefer working for guys outside of Africa, but that's just my opinion. But I'm interested to hear about yours.
I am in between in the sense that I want to work with Nigerian clients that are doing amazing, but then working with them means realizing that they can't actually afford
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
yeah. And also there are lots
Like
of
motion
pride.
design, yes. Like motion design, I spoke to Sel Kani a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, I think, and he said something. It was like motion design is a premium service. It costs a lot to do motion at the level that a lot of these people want it to be,
Yeah.
and working with Africans just mean compromising. And I want to do work with a lot of African brands, and I want to propel African brands forward. But I have to do it in with the mind that, okay, I'm not necessarily going to make money from this, and also like maybe do the foreign stuff to feed myself. But that's how I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
essentially.
I definitely get
There's a
what
lot
you
of
mean.
cool Nigerians or Africans that are doing really cool projects and like doing really cool stuff. And I would love to collaborate and make cool stuff with them. And if it means like letting go of the money temporarily, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I've also had some experiences like that. I had to, if you get a project, even if you gain, you still take sacrifices. But sometimes it's worth it if you get it.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Like
yeah, you're
the
saying?
software itself, like I can use Cinema 4D. Like most of the projects that you would get with the Nigerian, I mean, because our economies are different, like the project can't even pay like half of what Cinema 4D costs.
Yeah,
And then we're expected to use Cinema 4D, or like we're expected to use the tools to get the results. I mean, you don't have to use Cinema 4D. There's Blender and there's like all these other amazing tools, but
it's
What
a
do
lot of
you
times Cinema 4D is preferred tools of choice.
Cinema 4D? I like Cinema 4D. I'm currently trying to learn Blender, but I might honestly just go back to C4D because I picked that up in like under a month. You know.
yeah, but oh,
Do you
have
know,
you
I
seen
actually
the
started out with Blender many years ago when it was terrible, when it was 2.6.
oh
And then I
What
switched to
was
Cinema 4D.
uh the
what Cinema 4D?
No, I started out with Blender when it was 2.6.
Oh, okay, yeah. And that's the thing. That's the only reason I'm checking out Blender lately is because there's so many like cool updates coming out, and I feel like maybe give it like another 3-4 years, it might be up there with C4D in
yeah,
terms of
but
like simulate.
have you seen the newest Cinema 4D, what's the word? Have you seen the newest Cinema 4D price increases that they announced today? I'm genuinely
Nah.
take a
Wait, they
look.
Wait,
did.
It's like
today?
$160 for 1 month. I'm coming to switch to Blender
What?
soon. Take a look. I think I got an email from it from the Cinema 4D. They're changing some stuff from
Okay, so I
September
also
1st.
have to add that I've not had to pay for Cinema for the last 2 years
Why?
because of shout out my friend Matthias, who works at Maxon, and he was kind enough to give me a license when he was running the Motion for All platform. And also moving on from that, because Motion for All no longer exists, Maxon gave me like a couple of months after that. So I've not had to pay for Cinema 4D in a while. So I'm grateful for that experience.
Oh,
That's what's up.
yeah, coming to pay back for. I just recommend go to Blender. Me personally, I've already started learning After Effects Cinema 4D because I can't pay for the real one.
I definitely I would definitely like move back to Blender at some point. I actually want to move to Houdini, not even Blender, because
Houdini.
Houdini is like it's like very powerful and very affordable. Like it's just a one of I think $200 payment.
What do you use Houdini for mainly, actually? I've never considered looking at it that much.
Houdini is like great for like simulation work. So if you're
Yeah,
trying to do
Houdini
like
is well,
yeah,
my bad. I'll let you explain.
no, you can explain it.
Yeah, I'm not really too familiar with using it, but I do know that basically like a lot of people use Cinema 4D for the complexity of like motion design, like having MoGraph like MoGraph fields and
Yeah.
effectors and stuff. Houdini kind of just takes that to the next level. And it's all like node based. So
Oh,
Yes,
might have to give it
and
a
it's
look.
much more affordable. It's like a one payment of $269. I just checked.
Oh, that's
So
honestly, that's not the kind of fraud I was expecting. Maxon are just criminals, the way they charge, bro. I'm telling you.
yeah, I heard the learning curve for Houdini is like really, really steep, but once you learn it, it's so rewarding. So
I
I
mean,
gotta
I feel
get
like
through. Oh,
yeah,
wait.
go on.
I was just gonna say I gotta get through my I gotta get through the whole understanding Cinema 4D and Blender first before I can even think about moving over to Houdini. It's like the equivalent of After Effects and Nuke, if you know about Nuke.
Oh,
But
okay.
I I need to try out Nuka. I haven't tried that out yet. But I think Houdini is like if you can learn to think very node based, you'd be really good at Houdini. And
Mhm.
I color grade and it's like a very node based process. Also Blender is also very can be node based sometimes. So it's like if you're good with thinking in a very node based workflow. Also if you're good at coding in a way, it's just that it's not like you have to code, but like that way of thinking is
Oh,
the best is like would really help learning all these programs, I think.
So I don't know if we like went over this like generally, but a question I have is, what are your thoughts on the like design education in Nigeria and the world in general? You know?
In Nigeria, there isn't really like formal design education, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that has changed, then I need to update my information. But when I started, there wasn't like any like formal, as in like university, or even if there was, it wasn't as good or could not hold up to like global standards. And it's been like a lot of people are self taught here.
Mm-hmm.
Like most designers you meet are self taught, and a lot of designers are like working to change it and like creating their own like learning platform for other designers, and that's how it's been. I think I feel like I don't know how I feel like we're in a place in the world where everything is free online,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that
everything
if you have the
is.
internet, you can learn anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything
What was the
is
question
right
again? I feel like
there.
I lost track of the question while
Nah, the
explaining.
question was just like, how do you feel about the like design or the education when it comes to like learning motion design and design or 3D, anything like kind of like visual in Nigeria?
Motion design is a little complex than just design, I think, in terms of like the learning curve. And it's not because of like the inaccessibility of the information. It's more like to learn motion design is like just there's a barrier to entry. Like you need a good computer, which is a big one. You need to pay for the software. So
I
it's
don't
Yeah.
know
it's
about
not
that.
as I mean, it's starting to change. You're starting to get more web based too, but like for
Yeah,
example, I have a decent computer, but I still have problems with After Effects.
Oh,
Like
yeah. After Effects is just it's a mess. Like sometimes it's really not even your computer, it's just the software. I used a
now
laptop.
imagine someone was just starting, someone
yeah.
just starting out.
Yeah, yeah, because like when I started, I had a really like bad like laptop. It didn't have a graphics card. It had like an internal like graphics card, so it wasn't the best to use for like video editing and stuff. But I still like made it work. But you're right, because when it's just 2D, like After Effects can handle just 2D like flat shapes any day, all day. But then when you start adding like gradients and
Yeah.
glow and like effects and stuff, like that's it. Like After Effects will kick your
Yeah,
computer's ass,
I even
So
have my own story to add because also used to run on a laptop that had no graphics card, just like internal, like integrated graphics. Bro, for the first 2 years, like I was struggling around. After the second year, literally After Effects is the reason why my entire laptop broke because
yeah,
it was working so hard that my fan literally just broke as I was rendering something on After Effects. So for
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
Yeah, so for like
No, I was
nine
gonna say
months,
that.
yeah, so for like 9 months,
Yeah,
I could not design anything. I literally, for the 9 months, because I couldn't
I
like
remember that
physically
time.
design, yeah, because I couldn't physically design, I literally just had to, I spent all my time just doing like the theory of design, looking at all of that so that when I came back, which was the beginning of this year, which when I really started coming back, like I had my foundation, I just needed to learn like the technicalities again.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was
it's
going to say like,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
cutting you off.
No,
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say that you take all this and then you imagine someone who lives in Nigeria where our economy is much more smaller,
Hmm.
trying to get into motion design. They can't even afford like like a computer, like a okay computer to even like run After Effects to a decent level, and it's
Yeah,
like all this barrier. And
Yeah,
that's just that's just like the biggest, I think the biggest factor to a lot of people's growth in motion design or
well,
motion design education
yeah, I would also definitely say
in
that
Nigeria.
that like especially like one thing I've noticed is more like Nigeria and Ghana, which is like the two I know the most. It's like there's not really as much as a theoretical understanding. Like even though some people may know like the practicals, they don't understand how the thought process behind it. Like if you tell them to like explain something, like the process or like what makes this good and what makes this not, it's usually harder for them than it is for someone else who like is you get more of the archetype of someone who knows the technicalities but doesn't know the theory in here than outside, where it's usually they know the theory, but it's like they're not as good in the technicalities, which is also another thing I noticed. That's why I'm trying to do like help with. I have some tutorials and stuff where it's like it's not really, it's like a walk along tutorial, but I also talk a lot more about like the theory behind it, because I feel like that's the most important thing when it comes to teaching people after design and animation here.
Yeah, definitely. The theory is something I had to learn much later in my career. Like I started my career just trying out what feels amazing and also growing my taste. A lot of these things I feel like is also a lot of the reasons why I was able to survive so long without doing like the theory as deeply as I know right now is because I feel like I had to train my taste and like had to learn, okay, this feels right. Even though I can't explain what feels right or why it feels right, and then like learn the theory much later in my career, and it's something that I definitely can relate to. It's definitely something I can relate to, and it's definitely something that would need to be solved, or like it's definitely something that people have to just pay attention to and sit down to learn. I think everybody will get to that point where they are like, okay, I need to take this, I need to learn this, I need to know how to like take this like know why this moves this way or why this feels this way, or know how to connect this footage together to make it feel good, or know how to tell a cohesive story, the visuals. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I got a question, and it's not on what we had like planned, but I also wanted to kind of bring this up because it's been a topic that I've been talking to a lot of people about lately. What do you think about AI? And since we're on the topic of creatives in Nigeria, like how do you think people at all are even using AI to kind of get like leverage in the industry, or like what are your thoughts about it? Like how do you feel about it? I just want to know. In
I'm
all
in a very
honesty.
interesting place with AI. I think I've come to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like AI is technology and should be treated as such. And
Yeah.
in the sense that, like, don't think about it as, okay, this thing is trying to take my job, or this thing is going to take, take food from my table, and think about it more as technology that you can leverage and be creative with. For a while, like, I mean, there's the moral point of view about how many, like, people's works being used to create it, and that's something that I've not been able to get past, like my moral conscience and how I feel about people's work being used to create this. And I'm really hoping
Yeah.
that a definite resolution for that is created. Maybe like a way to compensate these people. I don't know how that would work, but it's something that I don't feel right about with AI. But I definitely like see it as a tool, and I feel like it could be used in ways that help promote creativity. And do I think people are using AI? Definitely, people are using AI in
Yeah, I was
Nigeria.
about to say, because let me, as from my own experience, one reason why I really don't like, not that I don't like it, I really don't mind it, but in the context of like here, definitely I don't like it, is because you have a creative studio, for example, in Ghana. You see their works, like
Mm-hmm.
before AI, like you could see their works, like it's obviously still not as good, but all of a sudden, after some time, you just see for some reason, or it just becomes weird for some reason, all their works. You look at it and you're like, oh, something looks off about it. Then you come to realize that they've changed their entire workflow, that every single thing that they use is AI. The client logo, they get AI and change it.
Oh,
Design, get AI and change it. Templates, they get AI and change it. Website, they get AI and change it. That for me,
I mean, that's
honestly,
just being
is
lazy.
the worst. Yeah, it's one of the most annoying things, because at that point, you are more of an AI engineer than you are a designer. Honestly, it
yeah.
really annoys me every time I see it.
So something I've been doing recently is I was invited to try out an AI product called Wand, and I'm making YouTube videos for these guys currently in the process of producing a YouTube video for them. And it's been interesting actually, like speaking to them and trying out this tool, because it's an AI tool that allows you train it on your own work and helps you create. So it's more for like illustrators than anything else. But I was trying to play with it to see if we could find graphic design usage for it. And it's like, this is how I think AI could be used as a tool and as a way to promote creativity, not a way to be lazy and
Yeah.
a way to do terrible work. And it's
Yeah.
something I was very, very skeptical about working with this company when I started, like when we initially started the talk, because there's like a lot of the like the moral thing about like, how AI is used. I definitely think they still use stable diffusion model to build their platform, but I feel like they also are thinking about it from a way of how can we help artists and how can we promote creativity rather than can we replace humans and can we do the cheapest work. I'm not promoting this company in any way, I think, but I'm just promoting like my personal dilemma with AI, and like I'm just talking about my personal dilemma with AI, or how how I've been thinking about it. I
Yeah.
think
Or at least with us, as motion designers, I think that out of all the designers categories, we're the least like afraid of AI takeover just because of we're doing animation.
I don't think so, man.
Really? Motion
Because I
design?
was very, very scared. Yeah, like I was very, very scared earlier in the.
Eh,
Actually, there was so little work earlier in the year that I was so scared, because like a lot of companies were integrating AI more into their processes, and there was like less work at the beginning of this year
But motion
than
design will
yeah,
it
never be
was very
affected.
interesting.
I feel
I
like
don't think it
motion
would
design is
never.
2D. It depends on what we're talking about here. I feel like there's some styles that very well like people still, they're in high demand, like people are going to pay for them, but um, you know, earlier this year, like 2 months ago, we've already gotten to the point where AI can do video prompts now. So
Yeah,
there's people that are trying to recreate motion design, and I've seen some interesting stuff here and there. But I feel like what it more targets is 3D. If anything,
Definitely.
it targets like a lot of 3D and a lot of like detailed like glitchy 2D. A lot of like
Yeah.
stylized 2D
But
stuff. It remakes
a lot
well.
of the corporate 2D, which is like what's the most like desired one, like the corporate style motion design 2D. That's abstract. We're safe. At least for the next year.
I I,
For
I
now,
don't think we're safe.
Really?
I don't
I
think
feel
we're
like
safe. I feel like the only thing
capitalism, man.
protecting, yeah, exactly. I feel like the only thing like kind of stopping us right now is that people don't really know um how to use it in their process. Like they don't really know how it's going to help them cut costs. Like where they cross out the people and use AI for a certain task. And there's already job listings. Like there was one on LinkedIn the other day, like being an AI prompter, or like, and they're asking for like 1 to 2 years of experience working with different like AIs, and I don't know, it's really weird. But I think motion design is in a gray area right now. Like it's just about what's morally right.
Mhm.
I
So
feel like there are definitely companies who are trying to figure it out. I personally don't feel like we're safe. I feel like the sense of safety. I feel like it's also a very interesting problem because it's teaching us to ask the right questions. Like a lot of the big reasons why I'm even like embracing other creative mediums is like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to think of my career like I'm an artist, than I'm a designer, or than I'm trying to solve a problem for a company. Because at the end of the day, I'm an artist first. I'm always trying to create new stories, always trying to explore, and always trying to experiment. And I'm thinking about my career more from that perspective. And from that perspective, using AI to experiment isn't really a bad thing. It's like, okay, you're experimenting and finding out new things and like trying to be creative, essentially, compared to like the capitalism perspective, and how it's all about making money, man.
yeah,
Capitalism always finds a way to ruin things. I feel like you might think it's safe right now, and the reason why it might feel safe is because AI hasn't figured out how to make consistent, definite shapes. Like how to make the biggest problem we want is that I was trying to make fonts with it when I was experimenting with it. I was trying to I was trying to take a font or a series of text and trying to make it, transform it into a metallic style, right? So
Mhm.
that was what I was trying to do with Wand. And it just could not for the life of it figure out how to do that. And I had to like I had to be in the mind of like a prompter for that experiment to try and like figure out, okay, how can I make consistent shapes? And the biggest problem why AI hasn't become, or you might feel like it hasn't become a threat, is because it's becoming like getting definite shapes and doing things like type is still a big problem for AI. And this where AI is right now is not where it was last year at all. It's
Oh,
scary how fast it
Yeah,
learns because I was
yeah,
I was able to do
that
it very
was.
successfully.
Oh no, I was just saying that was really scary. Yeah, like its progression from last year to this year.
when you see
That's
the
a
difference
There
between
is
that Will Smith spaghetti video and then the new like ones that they literally some people are making car commercials off of AI, that was,
yeah.
bro.
feel like if the biggest enemy is capitalism at the end of the day. If there was no capitalism, I would say welcome to this new tool because there are people who are finding creative ways to use it and embracing it in their processes. Even big studios in motion design are embracing AI. I don't want to name
hmm
names yet,
Oh,
but
Yeah, they
like they're
are.
definitely embracing motion design and trying to figure out where is going to land in their process and how to use it and how to be creative with it. So it's like it's here to stay, man. It's just like figuring out how you want to approach it. And the way I'm approaching my career going forward is like an artist. I'm all about creative exploration and creativity, and like that's me personally. That's what I want to do with myself. Is I want to be that person that tells stories and always explores creative ideas. I don't know if that would make me money yet, but
soon,
that's the
soon.
perspective I'm trying to
Well,
go, trying to
you
approach.
know, I honestly, you just kind of answered the whole next question that I was going to ask. And it was like, what is their end goal as a designer? I was going to say, what is your end goal as an artist? Because you made it very clear, like you're an artist. And I like that because I look at myself in the same way. It's like I do a lot of, animation design, 3D, and now I want to like expand into music. So, everything you've been saying for like the last 30 minutes, I wholeheartedly agree with because like I feel the same way about it.
Oh, I feel like the odd one out a little bit, man. For me,
Nah,
Good.
it's all good.
for me, it's like obviously I want to. My main as a designer, my main goal is first of all make something to get money. That's the first objective. But besides from that, there's also
Always the first
experiments. Yeah,
objective, man.
my favorite thing to do is discover something new, like or like expand on something which has really not been expanded before. For example, I keep saying this all the time, but my latest obsession has been Folks 3D or False 3D. That's been my latest obsession, just finding out
No,
different
I
ways.
see.
Uh,
Yeah, different ways on how to get something 2D to be 3D while staying 2D. That's my favorite thing to do right now.
yeah, I love fake 3D. Like, I mean, you see it in my work too. Like, some stuff I learned from Revi, but it's gotten to the point where I'm actually thinking of ways to make 3D look like it's 2D. As opposed to like just for like time's sake too.
Yeah,
So
No, I definitely. I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of that studio that does pretty like 3D. That's a studio,
Ravi,
and I can't remember the name, but no, not Ravi,
where are they
no
from?
Ravi. I think Giant Ant. Is it Giant Ant or this one by
kind
this
of.
guy Jorge?
Oh, you mean Ordinary Folk?
I try.
Oh,
Ordinary
ordinary
Folk.
folk.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Ordinary Folk does great 3D that looks like 2D.
Yeah,
yeah. Did you see their last project that they uploaded?
which one was that?
I haven't seen it. I haven't
Yeah,
followed
they.
them in a while, but
It's called Equilibrium, and they animated. I think they started all the animation in 2D, and then they like converted it into 3D. So it's
Oh,
pretty cool.
that's a different level of animation, bro.
Yeah,
no,
they're
it's
wizards,
surprising. I
man.
think doing things in 3D is and doing things in 3D is easy. I think like animation in 3D, like in
No,
3D space, and then making it look like 2D is like just another level. Oh, I see the equilibrium. I've seen that. I've seen this project.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty lovely.
Use that for that. It's funny how fast we use that for a reference on a project that I worked on
really.
over the summer. So, yeah, it was the case study.
Is it the Sanchu one?
You see how they
Yeah,
add textures to it? It's like it's crazy how they're playing with
Yeah.
textures, how they're playing with different looks.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I've been exploring was making 3D that feels like paintings. Like it
Yeah,
was something I did last year.
that's crazy. Like honestly, do you have any posts that I want to see that? Because I used to look into work like that too, kind of just like rendering out something, and then people would like import it into Photoshop, and they would use like a paintbrush to give it like
So
that
this
painted
was
look.
more like me trying to create the art style from Arcane and
Oh,
anything
Mhm.
else within Octane. And
Octane
I just
render.
did there's a yes. There's a scene in Arcane where there's like this mechanical butterfly in Arcane, and that was like the biggest reference in my head for this piece.
Oh,
I think I'm sharing it on the chat so you can check it.
oh, okay. Uh, Audio viewers, you cannot see, but you get a point from what he's saying. I have
I
to.
mean, do you guys have show notes?
Nah, we don't. This is just audio and video only, unfortunately, for this podcast.
Or
Yeah,
definitely consider adding a show note so people can actually read the show
yeah. I
notes
might add a
and
link
see
to
all
the
the links.
video as
This
well.
is another this is another project that I did with my good friend. Um, sorry, we need to cut it out because I don't want to sound like I forgot his name. But he's a good friend, Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew Embry is an amazing like OG in the motion design space, and it was the project for his studio's real Yellow Lab, and we're trying to like make this really cool, you know, Spider-Verse or Mitchell versus the Machine inspired art style, and I undid the art direction. Not in like a crazy big way, but I did the
Yeah.
early look dev for the
Uh,
project
Into the
for the
Spider-Verse.
real intro.
The Spider-Verse, that whole
Yeah, like Into the
duology
Spider-Verse, Mitchell
is what's it called? Oh, sorry for
versus the
cutting.
Machine.
Sorry for cutting, but like,
No, go on.
yeah, I've realized that those two movies, like, they've really changed, like, really, like, inspired so many things in animation in general. Especially, like, you can literally find anybody and ask them if they've changed anything of their animation just because of those two movies. 90% of them will say
What
yeah, honestly.
the Spider Verse?
Yeah, like the
Mm-hmm.
both of them. Like, I even had a whole case study on frame rates because of Spider-Verse. It got to that level.
Yeah, like
I'm
Spider
definitely
Verse.
exploring more character-based work.
Mm,
It's something I have always been scared of throughout my career is like doing character work, because I feel like character work is easy to mess up. It's like it's so if you mess it up, everybody would know. And I think
Yeah,
other motion design field is easy to hide. Like for example, I think I'm a better designer than I am an animator. I don't know. It's obvious to people who know motion design that I'm probably the shittiest animator you'll find. But I'm a phenomenal designer, and great animation with terrible design is not as good as great
yeah,
design with terrible animation. So I could
definitely.
always
yeah.
hide with the fact that I'm a good designer
Yeah.
first. This is like my mini reel from last year, and I did a lot of character work in 2023,
Oh,
and I'm sharing a bunch of clips to you guys.
yeah, don't
Yes,
worry.
Nah,
On the
dude,
highlights,
that's what it's all.
yeah, the highlights that we'll post on Reels, I'll put the videos in so that people don't miss out.
for sure.
Yeah. But besides from
I
that,
did this one music video for an artist.
yeah.
Sorry,
Oh no,
I was gonna say I did this one music video with an artist, Constantine Lang, and I think it's one of my favorite projects in a while.
Oh,
It's a project from last year, but it's literally one of my favorite projects. And I did like 3D, 3D animation that looks like 2D, and I keep going back to the project because it really like was my intro into character work. And I'm definitely going to do more character. I have this whole idea for my reel. The only reason why I have not updated my reel is because I have a crazy idea for a real intro, and it's just too
oh,
ambitious, and I just did not have the time.
mind giving us a
Yeah.
little
But
sneak peek?
whenever I see my next reel,
Mind giving us a
Yeah,
little
go
sneak
ahead.
peek?
yeah, I could give you my. I haven't done it yet. It's just an idea
Yeah.
and a mood board. But I was gonna do like spaceship. Like it was gonna be like a character in space. So the theme for my reel is Creative Explorer, which is like a theme for this
Oh,
new era I am, where it's just all about creative. So I do this thing where I name my reels. So instead of saying instead of saying Olamide 2022 show reel, I say like my last reel was called Made with Love and Coffee, and
Oh, I remember
that's the
that.
real title. Yeah, so my next reel is going to be called Creative Explorer, and in the reel, there's basically a character that I have not designed yet. I'm looking for a good character person that is open to doing pro bono work with me,
Oh.
which you can never find because those niggas are proud as fuck. Sorry, I'm cursing. It was going to be my character in a spaceship, and we're basically traveling around the world, and that was the intro for the reel. So traveling in space rather,
Mm.
and it was just going to be like this cool, and it's going to be like in like a comic book style, Into the Spider-Verse style, and that's like my real intro, and that's supposed to signify to people or clients that look at my intro that this person is the person you go to if you want to experiment
Mm.
and you want to do cool stuff and you want to explore,
Oh.
hopefully not corporate looking work.
Oh, that sounds
And that was the
interesting.
whole plan behind the real idea. I need to do it.
Well, hey, to
I need
end
to
that
do
off
it.
on a note, I can give you some advice for that. One thing I've learned recently is my friend. I have a friend called him Seti, and he
Oh,
he
I know him,
told me
Seti.
like, yeah, okay, sweet. So you know him Seti. All right, so Seti told me, you know, like if you really want to work on something, you got to start investing time into yourself. You know, so he was like, you know, at least setting aside like an hour a day. And even if you don't finish it, it's like, you know, you're slowly chipping away at it. It's like hour by hour. You just set aside a couple hours, 30 minutes, you know, just and lock that in and say like, okay, for this 30 minutes, like I'm just solely focusing on this project. That's it. Nothing else matters. Like the work I'm doing right now is just this project. Just do some storyboarding, mood boarding, whatever. And then, you know, like if you can't do it the next day, cool. But if you can do it like Saturday or Sunday, be like, hey, I can sit down for an hour. And, you know, it just over time, you just get stuff done instead of like putting it on hold. And then, you know, life happens and you forget about the idea.
You know, I actually started out this year working on it a little bit. Like the spaceship is modeled already.
Mm-hmm.
Like the spaceship is modeled, but it's like as this year went on, I started having other creative ideas and other things to explore. And it's like my time goes into this thing and then this thing and then this thing. And then the next thing you know,
Okay.
the real takes a back seat.
Oh.
And now it's
Yeah.
starting to take a front seat again because I have to. This is the mood board I made because I have to start getting new clients
Oh, yeah.
and start making money again.
Yeah, that's fair to be honest. But
Oh, cool. You're taking a lot of references from Evangelion here. And
Dude, I love
Akira.
Evangelium.
but it's so
Yeah, I
so
just rewatched
unsettling.
I think it's the biggest reference for the work.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I just get so unsettled.
Evangelion is one of my favorite anime.
Evangelion's a crazy experience,
I
man.
can't imagine, man. I'm too scared to watch
I
it.
might steal this mood board, man. It's really inspiring. Like,
No, you can like have fun. Like I'm very inspired by a lot of anime and like I mean not anime in like the way a lot of people say they are inspired by anime. Like I'm not updated to the latest anime, but I'm very inspired by the 80s anime and like that look of things.
like a lot of
and all
old,
obsessed.
yeah.
Like those guys were
Nah.
obsessed with like mecha and like world destruction and dystopia and
Yeah,
and
because that really
a lot
set
of
the tone for a
architecture.
lot of like sci-fi art now. Believe it or not. And so, you know, when you say this, I get it. Like everyone says they're you know, inspired by anime, but they mostly mean like Akira, Evangelion, like Gundam, you know, stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But this type of stuff I live for. Like this is what got me into motion design in the first place. So,
Yeah, I can
You know, it's even
imagine.
gotten to a point where I started collecting like some of the mangas and like I have at least I think I have 3 issues of Akira.
oh wow.
That's actually really
It's
cool.
6 issues.
Let's see.
It's
Oh,
this one. Sorry, these are the 3. I think.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know if you guys can see my
damn.
camera.
No, we
Yeah,
can
we
see
can
it.
see. We can
Yeah.
see. That's actually really cool.
And then I collect a lot of books, even though I never have the time to read every single one of them. And there's a book by this artist, the concept artist, and you really can find a lot of sci-fi art called Sign Lead. Let me just Sign Lead. Let me find that book. It's down here. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
So this book,
Oh,
Siamede,
what's it about?
it's just an art book by
Oh,
this artist Siamede. They find a lot of like he did a lot of the concept art for a lot of sci-fi movies,
oh, that's
and it's just
really
his
cool.
art book.
What is it called? Oh, I actually want to look this up.
Sid Me.
Siamede.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's
That. I'm pull it up.
That looks really interesting actually. But on that note, very sorry to interrupt you, Roland, but
No, all good.
we are
I'm
running
always
out of
excited to
time.
show my books.
We are running out of time a little bit. So if there's like any closing remarks you want to say to
What?
the people. It's been an hour.
Sorry, I was going to say one final book I wanted to show you before we run out of time
Yeah.
is my Love Death Robots book.
Ooh.
Oh, you have a book for love. What?
Like,
Dude,
it
I
shows
might
all
need to
the
get
art,
that.
all the work from all the 3 seasons of Love Death Robots. It shows all the artworks.
Whoa.
And
I never got into like Love Death. Like I watched all the seasons and stuff, but I wasn't crazy about it. But it's funny because a lot of my work, people say like reminds them of Love, Death, and Robots, and I'm like, oh, like,
dude, my favorite episode is still Jibaru by Alberto Melgo. And Alberto
yeah,
Melgo was the person who worked on Spider-Verse. Initially, was the initial art director of Spider-Verse. And a lot of the art style really came from him, and it's so cool to see it's so cool to really see the work in like in like pages.
yeah. They
I also have
reposted that
Spider-Verse.
project. They reposted that project on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and I was just looking through like the behind the scenes and the process for everything, and I was like, damn, I actually kind of want to rewatch that one episode now.
Oh. What's
It's a
a
very scary
Spider-Verse book?
episode. It's just the book of the art, basically.
Oh.
So all the
I wonder how much
so
the
all
shipping
the
was.
character. Oh yeah, it was expensive shipping into Nigeria.
I can imagine.
So you see all the art style, like all the character drawings.
Oh,
This is
okay.
for Across the Spider-Verse, not Into the Spider-Verse, sadly. I should get Into the Spider-Verse.
You should.
This is what is inspiring the next phase of like me when it comes to like motion design and animation, and it's
Mhm.
like getting into real animation work and doing like cool stuff and experimenting with that narrative animation. And this is like the filmmaker in me coming out and combining those two industries into one thing, essentially. But yeah, this
So
is
this
enough
is
of a
no, yeah,
rant about.
this is you. Like honestly, man, I'm glad you opened up and really just showed us all that more because it really just goes into like what inspires your work, you know.
Yeah, that's actually
What is
really
going to
good.
inspire my next level of work?
Yeah, next
Like
level.
my
Yeah, no, I
next
feel it.
phase.
I feel it. Like you're already thinking about like what's to come. Like you're getting all the planning done. So
Yeah,
I
very
get that.
excited to see what you come up with actually. But
Thank you very much. I hope I can meet expectations.
oh, you better.
The expectations in my head.
Don't worry about that. Just do your thing. Trust
Yeah,
me.
it'll be
Like
good
don't
anyways.
make make it for you. Make
Yeah,
it for you.
you are an artist, as you say. But on that note,
Yes.
actually, we are running out of time, unfortunately. But if you have anything like you'd like to say to close it off to the your fans, if they're watching, which they probably are, you can say something to them.
I hope I still have fans.
Oh, still, don't worry.
I always still have fans. But yeah, if you're watching, I feel like the only thing I have to say is just stay creative. Like find something that you love and just keep doing it, no matter how hard it gets. It's easy to say. A lot of people would do that. Are probably nepo babies and have opportunities and money lying around.
Yeah.
But honestly, once you can get past all the hardships, like a lot of beautiful work can be created. And like I'm excited to see where you guys go and like see your work and like see the work and be able to appreciate it.
Oh,
And also one final thing that I was going to say is work on taste. Like there's Rick Rubin always talks about like how great taste is what has defined his career, and I connect with that so much. Or like having great taste is like so important. So take some time to actually go out and read and like learn stuff and like find art that you're actually inspired by and like learn why that
Yeah.
art makes you, by what makes that art ticks and why
definitely.
you like it so much, and that would really inspire your work and really change how you think about your work. Taste is so important, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it, but like
yeah,
a lot of the best designers I know, so a lot of the even like best animators I know have amazing taste.
yeah. You are what
And
you
I love the
surround
reasons why a
yourself
lot of
with.
people don't go as far.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of the reasons why people don't go as far is because they don't evolve their taste and they don't go out to learn and like find things that to inspire them.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's what I would leave you with.
Oh,
Thank you very
that
much.
is very inspirational. You heard it from Rush himself, so start getting good taste. But besides, with that being said, thank you very much, Rush, for joining me, and Kai as well. Next month, I'll be joined by another member of the Layers and Keyframes team. But I will still be staying, a new guest as well. So thank you very much for watching this episode, and